Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and we're back with another Total War Warhammer video. Today we'll be continuing with our mod highlight series and we're gonna look at a rather popular mod. This was requested quite a decent amount of times to be covered on the channel. This is Cataph's Kraka Drak, the Norse Dwarfs. A mod which completely overhauls the Dwarfs of the North, those who were lost to the rest of the Kara's Anchor for quite some time and had to adapt to survive. Not only are they mostly cut off from their fellow kin, but they've built up their culture to that of a unique presence. This mod drastically changes how you would play a dwarf faction. You are not relying on a lot of gunpowder based weaponry, and you're very much lacking in artillery. Instead, you will make use of a still powerful front line, some projectile range, and also some possible allies to the north. But with that, let's not waste any more time and jump right in. As usual with these mod reviews, I will begin a fresh new campaign in easy modes and easy battles in an effort to be able to show off anything of interest at a much quicker rate. Your campaign will begin in the northern reaches of the Old World. You are one of the very few bordering the Chaos Waste, and are decently far away from your fellow kin. Here you find yourself mostly surrounded. There are Skaven, orcs, and more importantly, a lot of servants to the ruinous powers. You do however have Kislev and some Imperial provinces as possible allies, but in most cases you are left alone, and you will be one of the first to feel the Chaos invasion. The technology tree for the Kraka Drak Dwarfs is radically different to that of the vanilla ones. Instead of having two massive trees with loads of different technologies, you have one with 4 branches. Each branch is dedicated to something different. For example, the uppermost top one is dedicated to removing chaos corruption around the area, something which is desperately needed, especially if you're going to expand into Norse. Sometimes less is more, and it works rather well. The whole technology tree can be completed fairly quickly, so it's not like you're going to be most of the campaign trying to finish it off. Now bear in mind about one specific technology, that of King of the North, which is quite good in terms of income from buildings, extra growth, and diplomatic relations with the Empire, but it drastically reduces your diplomatic relations by 150 to be exact with the Dwarfs of the Kara's Anchor. This means that unless you want to be constantly fighting your fellow kin, don't get this research until very late game, or else you will not be ready for the eventual Order Tide invasion, especially if you get this sorted prior to the Chaos invasion. Last thing you need is fighting the Dwarfs and the Warriors of Chaos. Or, you know, do it if you like a challenge. But in short, you're getting everything you pretty much need from this small technology tree. Unit buffs, upkeep reduction, untainted buffs to help you survive in the north, and even some reduction to building costs. It shows that a full technology tree doesn't have to be overloaded. You will notice massive differences when you go to your construction section. Some buildings have been removed, whilst others have been added. The same can also be said to a bunch of units. As I stated during the intro of this video, this is a different type of dwarf playstyle. Rather than focusing on loads of shooting with the form of guns and artillery, here you're focusing on a front line of warriors and also being able to recruit fast and effective skirmishing units in the form of Chaos Marauders, which means that not only will you have access to a decent amount of hard-hitting warriors, but also cavalry-based units. These aren't all the new buildings included in the mod. You will notice more new buildings as you start expanding into the realms of Norse, mostly in the form of landmarks and special buildings to reduce corruption in those regions. Your legendary lord here is Forgrad Kromson. Stat-wise, he is quite powerful in terms of being an excellent warrior to be in the front lines. Heavily armored and decently strong, it's very unlikely he'll be killed off fairly quickly if left unattended. His skills focus around upgrading his armies as can be expected, but it is important to note that his unique skill tree is focused around all armies and all provinces. It's rather interesting. It seems that everything gets affected by him. This is a tree you will want to progress through if you want to take advantage of a bunch of bonuses. The character itself seems very fairly equal to officially added legendary lords, and there doesn't seem to be much power scaling between them. As you expand, it's very likely that you'll start taking territories in Norska, those which have an uninhabitable climate, especially for dwarfs. Thankfully, when you do take over these regions, you will notice that you have a new building that you can build specifically here. Reclamation Works are a building which is a must-have if you're intending to settle in the far north. This will not only negate the penalties for settling in uninhabitable regions, but also provide decent bonuses to your area. I cannot stress it enough, especially for higher difficulties, of the importance of this building, especially if you want to empire build. The whole Norskan region is ripe for the taking, and it's very unlikely that any other factions will begin to take it over by the time that you're ready to conquer the whole area. This mod also introduces a new lord to lead your armies, the Ward Lord. The characters themselves have their own traits to pick from, and they all seem to be the standard ones that you can find from the vanilla dwarfs. Stat-wise, once again, very well balanced with those of vanilla characters. It's heavily armored and can take a decent beating or dish one out if needed. In terms of skills, the character is focused around buffing your army and debuffing your enemy. The runes themselves are implemented in the forms of augments or hexes, and perform rather nicely on the battlefield. This should be your main form of character to recruit if you want to start raising more armies. Yes, the vanilla lords are still viable, but the warlord itself provides so many buffs and debuffs, it is by far the better lord of the three choices that you now have. You will notice as you begin your trek into Norska that some of these regions, whilst under your control, have access to special landmark buildings. Most of these referring to lost holds or places of significant importance to those of the dwarfs of the north and just the dwarfs in general. This would give you a bit more incentive to make your way into Norska. However, be warned, it's very likely that as you move in, you will start to become more and more of a threat to the people of Norska, so be prepared to fight the local tribes. Expansion into Norska can be rather slow. Bear in mind that not only are you fighting the various Norskan tribes, but as you're expanding, many of your regions are still suffering from high chaos corruption, so you need to focus around reducing that before expanding too far and having many rebellions rip apart your kingdom. Also, it is important to bear in mind that you do have possible allies, so trying to already form great relations with them will be beneficial, especially since you will be the first line of defense in regards to fighting against the Warriors of Chaos. And it is very important to note that you cannot build walls in the regions that belong in Norska. You will get outposts, sure, but no walls, which will make things a bit more of a challenge, which is always welcome, of course. Now we'll take the time to look over all the units available to Kraka Drak which have been added through this mod. Please bear in mind that this is not the complete and full roster. There are indeed some units missing, but those are vanilla based either through the dwarfs or through Norska, so I wanted to avoid adding them here as we already know what they do and how they can be used. So with that being said, the units specifically created and added in for Kraka Drak are indeed quite well balanced. Many of those units have some basic range, but don't think that that's going to be your saving grace here. Instead, you need to focus around heavy frontline units. Your ranged weapons are good, especially the frost drakes, they work rather nicely, but in most cases, the best way I could explain the army loadout is very similar to that of the Warriors of Chaos. Little to no range, basic artillery, and then just a large amount of powerful warriors in the front line just taking as much damage as they can while slicing and dicing their enemy open. Don't you worry, this plays rather well, and the army can indeed hold its own. You're not really going to feel like you're lacking anything. But with that being said, Cataph's mods have always been known to be rather high quality, and this Kraka Drak mod is once again proof of that. You're getting a overhauled experience with the dwarfs that feels extremely well implemented. The Norse dwarfs themselves never received that much love from Games Workshop, so obviously some creative interpretation had to be created here, but it feels right, if you get what I mean. The only thing I can kinda complain about is the fact that there are no unique heroes implemented through this mod. Yes, there is a special hero that you can get through technology, but I'm more referring to as a generic hero, something which just fits with the theme. However, other than that, this is a fantastic mod, and it's actually one which always seems to be on my mod loadout list. Even if I have no intention of playing as Kraka Drak or anything so close to that region, I honestly can't remember the last time that I didn't have this mod on my mod list. This is one of very few which are always permanently on my list. But with that being said, if you want to try out this mod, there will be a direct link in the description below. And as always, if you have any mods to recommend that you might want to see represented on the channel, you can always leave a comment in the comment section below, or join the official Great Book of Grudges Discord, where it's much easier to get in contact with me. But with that, my friends, we've come to the end of our video. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, might I suggest giving the video a like, or even subscribing to the channel, as it really does help us out. In the description section below are various links to different social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, and Discord. Also in the description section is an affiliate link with Element Games, where you could buy loads of hobby-based products, not just Warhammer, for 10 to 25% off. Making a purchase using that link and also our special code, which is also in the description, supports the channel at no extra cost to you, which we think is rather cool. A big thank you to our patrons. Your support means the world to us. It's amazing that people want to help a small channel like us grow and get to a higher level of content. A big thank you to Gibraltar LUSC, Ryan Bertsche, Andrew Prince, and Okro for subscribing to us at our Fane level. You guys are super cool. And a big thank you to Edward Yule, VS Vasan, Aaron Whitman, and Shaggy for subscribing to us at our King level. Honestly, we can't thank you all enough. And lastly, a big thank you to all of you for liking, sharing, and commenting on these videos. Honestly, it's because of you guys that the channel's been growing at such a great pace lately, so we can't thank you all enough. But with that, my friends, thank you so much for watching once again, and we shall see you all again very, very soon. Have a good day.